Hi everyone, I want to talk to you about the importance of practicing your speech every single day. Why should you do this? Well, there are 4 reasons. First of all, it gets you comfortable and knowledgeable about the shape and the feel of your speech, the landscape. And I'll explain what that is in a second. The second reason why you should practice is it helps your confidence. It helps you to feel happy and confident about delivering that speech. And the more you practice, the greater your confidence. And then the third reason is practice helps you to memorize your speech. It helps your brain to retain the information. So instead of you having to read the words off a page, you just recall them from your mind. And when you do that, something great happens. And again, we'll talk more about that in a second. You've got to practice multiple times a day. It can't just be once a day or a couple of times a week. And finally, the other important reason for practicing is it allows you to go deeper into the meaning and the message of your speech. It allows you to get to the essence. And that is critical in terms of you giving a fantastic speaking performance to your audience. So the second reason why we practice our speech, and we practice it multiple times throughout the day in the run-up to your speech delivery, whether that's a week, a month, or a couple of months, is to develop greater confidence. With your speech, with a new speech project, it's new content. You're not familiar with it, you haven't delivered it before on stage or in front of a group of people, or in a team meeting, or at your community workshop, or at the local council, wherever your setting is. And the more you practice, the more confident you become. And one of the things that you will pick up quite quickly and memorize probably first is your introduction and your conclusion and some key sentences that resonate in your speech. The more you practice, the more confident you become. And the reason you become more confident is your technical ability in delivering that speech increases every time you practice. And what I mean when I say technical delivery is the way you project your voice, the loudness of your voice, the way you stand, the way you make eye contact with people. If you're going to be on a stage or a particular space, thinking about how you're going to move around. The way you practice the first time is going to be very different to the way you practice for the 10th time, or the 20th time, or even the 50th time. And as you practice more and more, you will start to change and refine your movement. And the other thing that you're doing when you're practicing that contributes towards building up your confidence is you're building muscle memory within your body. How you stand, how you gesture, what you do, how you move around, the raising of the voice, the lowering of the voice, the pitch of your voice. All of these things contribute towards greater confidence. And one of the reasons why we lack confidence when we present or when we speak is that we're not used to standing up in front of a group of people, or we're not familiar with the material, or we've actually got the stress that we've got to look down at the piece of paper and look up, or we've lost our way, or our mind just went blank, or something else came into our brain. And the reason why we practice is to make it second nature for us to deliver that speech, for the content to be stored in our brain so that we can recall it when we want to. And also, if you do blank out for a second, or your mind does wander, you bring it back and the content and the memory of your speech is there. So the more you practice, the more confident you will become, not just for the current speech project that you're practicing, but for future speeches and your self-belief in a speaker, in the fact that you're a speaker and you're a presenter and you believe in yourself more. And that's why it's very important to find time and be disciplined to practice multiple times a day on a daily basis, every single day, before your speech is actually due. So now I want to talk about what I think is probably the most critical and the most important reason for practice, which is memorization, to actually memorize your speech. Now, at Talking Titans, our philosophy is that if you're reading from a piece of paper whilst delivering your speech, you are not connecting with the souls of your audience, and you are not going to be effective in delivering change into their lives. The only reason I believe anyone should ever get up and speak in front of a group of people is to instigate change, to connect with them, mind, body, and soul, and to help bring change in their lives or the work that they do. Otherwise, just send somebody an email, send them a PowerPoint, send them a Word document. So the reason why we speak is to create beneficial change in people's lives. And if you are standing up, or if you're giving a speech or a presentation, and you're constantly looking down at a piece of paper, you're constantly looking down at your note cards, your printed whole speech, or your speaker notes on your laptop whilst you're presenting, you are going to break your connection with the audience. And sometimes you'll see speakers on a stage, politicians do this sometimes, I've noticed, is that they've got their speech in front of them, or they've got prompt cards, and they'll look down every few seconds and then they'll look up again as if they haven't looked down, and they're simulating giving a speech from memory, but they're not doing that really. They've got to look down, they've got to pick up the words, they've got to figure out where they are. The more you practice, and that's the reason why you've got to practice on a daily basis, the more you memorize. And you will start to slowly remember your speech, and you'll get to a point after about 20 practices or 30 practices or 50 practices where you fully memorize the speech. You know every turn, every bend, every nook and cranny of your speech, and you've got it stored in your brain. So what happens then? Well, the stress goes away. The stress about having to worry about where you are in the speech, the stress about having to look down at your bit of paper, the worry that you're going to forget your place, the worry that you're going to lose your speech or leave your speech at home. You actually become free because your body remembers how to move, your mouth remembers the words it's going to say, and the brain remembers the content. So then what happens is you literally become free to look around, to see what's going on, to look at the energy levels of your audience, to look at the level of engagement. You know, is the audience a bit bored? Do you need to switch it up? Do you need to inject a wow moment? Do you need to do something exciting? And when you've memorized your speech, you're so much more confident to move around on stage. You can move to the end of the stage, the middle of the stage, the other end of the stage. You can lean on something and you're just delivering your speech because you're in the moment. And once you've memorized your speech, because you've practiced it so much, you can then work on optimizing and maximizing the opportunities that your speaking environment gives you to create a beautiful, mesmerizing and compelling experience for your audience when you deliver your speech and when you deliver your presentation. Now, one of the things that's super important in terms of you practicing on a daily basis is to find the time to practice. You've got to build it into your working day, into your study day, and you've got to find those little pockets of time that you can take advantage of and practice your speech. Practicing your speech just once a day is not good enough. Practicing your speech just once or twice or 3 times a week is not good enough. You have to be practicing your speech at least 3-4 times a day, ideally more, on a daily basis. And how do you do that? A lot of us are super busy. We've got work, we've got our businesses, we've got community responsibilities, we look after our families, we're busy parents, we're mentors, coaches, we're students ourselves. So how do you find the time? Well, you've got to find the little moments throughout your day that are dead time. So great examples are the morning commute into work, waiting in a queue, your morning tea break or coffee break, your lunch break, finding 10 minutes on your way home. You're stuck in the car in traffic, you're not going anywhere, rehearse your speech. You're waiting in the queue, rehearse your speech. And nowadays, a lot of us have got smartphones, and you can take a copy of your speech and store it on your smartphone and pull it out wherever you are and just run through your speech. If you're going for a walk or a break at work and you're out in nature, practice your speech. In this way, when you start to identify those opportunities throughout your daily schedule where you can practice, or unexpectedly you've got to wait for somebody or do something and you've got that 5-minute, 10-minute opportunity, practice your speech. And in this way, on a daily basis, you will be rehearsing your speech. And in a few days, you'll let go of the notes on your phone or your little prompt cards, and the speech will be in your brain and in your mind. And what happens then is something amazing. You can silently rehearse your speech, okay? So it may be that you're in an environment, it's dead time, but you can't really practice your speech up. You can't stand up aloud and read out your words. But what you can do is quietly stand in a composed way or sit in a composed way and be mentally rehearsing your speech, mentally speaking out aloud, testing out the pauses, thinking about the message, and visualizing the delivery of your successful speech. So you have to be disciplined. You've got to find time in the day. What some people do is they get up a bit earlier. They clear out their morning schedule, and in the 30 minutes or so that they've got for themselves ahead of getting their kids up, sorting out breakfast, getting ready for work, in that early morning silence, they sit down with their cup of coffee and they practice their speech. Or it may be that for you, it's right at the other end of the day, in the evening, kids have gone to bed or your partner's busy, you've got that 30 minutes and you're going to go to the spare bedroom or your office and you're actually going to practice your speech. And I guarantee you will be surprised at the pockets of time that you find. And a lot of this is about mindset. If you hold the fixed idea in your mind that today I am going to practice my speech at least 10 times, your mind will find a way. The universe will come towards you to create those opportunities and to give those opportunities to you to practice. And my advice would also be, as soon as you know you've got a speech project, as soon as you know you've got to deliver a speech or a presentation, start practicing. For example, you are told at work that you will be giving a presentation in 4 weeks' time, you're given the topic, you're given the length of time, and you've got a high-level brief to develop. On the drive home that evening, think about your speech. Think about what you're going to say. What are the key statements you could make? And start practicing immediately before you've even written anything down in terms of a structured speech. Because what you're doing by practicing in these opportunities of time is working the mental muscle in your brain and laying down the neural pathways to construct around that speech project. And I would say don't delay. As soon as you know you've got a speech, start practicing in your mind. Think about saying the title. Think about concluding. Think about the most important thing that you would say about that speech. So what are the 3 key things that you would land about that speech? Take each point and build it into a sentence. Rehearse it mentally in your mind. And some of this is about building a mental framework which will ensure success when you're standing on that stage, when you're standing in front of 100 people to deliver your speech, or even if you're at your weekly team meeting giving a presentation, you will be confident, you will be articulate, you will absolutely believe in your message, and you will be positioned in such a way that it doesn't matter if problems occur, if the tech fails, if something else goes on, if instead of 10 minutes you're only given 5 minutes, if your day's gone to pot and you've got a lot of stress and pressure building up, it doesn't matter. Because you've practiced, you've got it, and you're going to knock it out of the park in terms of delivering your speech. So now we come to the final element of what I wanted to talk about today, which is practice, and multiple practicing throughout a daily basis gets you to realize the essence of your speech. When you're practicing, and you're practicing multiple times a day, and you've practiced your speech maybe even 100 times already, you've memorized it. That bit is achieved. You know how you're going to stand, you know how you're going to speak, you know how you're going to move around the stage, and you're super confident and comfortable with all of those elements of speaking. What starts to happen then is you start to get to the essence. you start to go deep into your speech and you start to question the messages that you're delivering. You start to question your content. And you may have read a couple of paragraphs or said a couple of paragraphs and you think, hang on, what is it that I'm trying to land here? What is the key message that I want to deliver? And you actually immerse yourself in the process of going deep into the content of your speech. Now, you will only realize this state if you have practiced so many times that 1, you've memorized your speech, 2, you've started to build muscle memory in your body in terms of how you're going to stand and technically deliver your speech, but 3, you start to think about the message. You start to think about what you're saying. You start to think about, well, what is the value that I'm delivering here? What are the messages that I'm delivering here? And do I actually agree with this? And slowly, if you've got the time and if you put in the work, the essence of your speech will transform over time. So the final product, the final 3D product that you deliver to your audience is absolutely phenomenal. And it actually reaches out, connects, and touches their souls so that when they go away from your speech, 24 hours later, 48 hours later, 72 hours later, you are still having an impact on their psyche. And that's when you start to engender change and things start to happen for your audience. And when you've gone deep on the essence of your message, you are actually content, you're satisfied, you're happy, and you're delivering your speech from your authentic inner soul to reach out and connect with people. And that is the beginning of true brilliance as a speaker. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's given you valuable input into your journey as a speaker. And I wanted to help you right now, immediately. I've designed a speaking success primer, which is a single page PDF, which you can download from the link in the description. It's a free download and it gives you 10 top tips in terms of how you can improve as a speaker right now. So that's for free. Please go ahead and download it if you found this video useful. And if you want to carry on your journey with me in terms of growing and developing your skill set as a speaker, then check out the second link in the description below, which is a link to my online course, The Basics of Speaking. This is a course that's got 3.5 hours of video content. It's got lots of tools, frameworks, downloadable worksheets, reflection sheets, and the course is designed to upskill you, and it covers all of the key components of delivering a successful speaking experience in a teachable and an easily absorbable manner online. So if you're interested, check it out. Thank you so much for your time and your attention today. Wishing you all the best and hoping to see you soon. Thank you.